Some of the biggest questions have been asked in the past few years in the Nigerian national life is how this nation can move forward. Some people are saying that without corruption being fought to its nails, we just might be at the same point. If you look at the enormous monies being mentioned, some of the money is being stolen, the wealth of the nation taking outside of the shores of this country, mind-boggling amount of money. Some of these monies, the federal government says it has recovered. Some of them are still lying unrecovered in some parts of the world. But the big question is, just how is the federal government going through this process, and how well is it prosecuting some of these cases? With the loss of some 3 cases in the past week or so, the major question is corruption fighting back, or the federal government is losing the case? Chief Obono-Obla is a senior special assistant to the president on prosecution, who's been talking to us, and a legal practitioner who practices here in Lagos, Mr. Ikechukwu Ikeji, has been talking to us. You, before we went to that break, you were breaking down the processes of the process of prosecution of a criminal case.
Yes, thank you. The first step, remember I've said, bear in mind in each of the steps that you must have the action or commission or omission that amounts to the crime, and you must have the intention. So bear these 2 things in mind in each of the steps that I'm listing presently. First step is the act itself. No matter how much you shout to the high heavens, if the act that has been committed or the omission that has been committed does not amount to crime, you have no case. Your case will crumble. So the first thing the prosecutors must ensure is to ensure that that act that they are complaining about is actually a crime. Because not every act that appears to be a crime is a crime. That is number 1 step. The number 2 step is the arrest itself, or the process of arrest. If in arresting somebody suspecting of committing a crime, you make a mistake contrary to the legal law, the provisions of the law, you have already put a problem ab initio to your case.
In the case of the DSS raid on the judge,
some of those things can come up before the court.
Well, some of those arrests and the raid, does those raid or some of the part of it?
But before you can break into somebody's house, you must have given the person an opportunity to come, to be invited, or even when you are in the person's premises.
Even when you have a warrant.
Even when you have a warrant, you must give the person the opportunity. And I'm not going into the details of what happened in those cases.
But another question will be, at that time, it does come up that, does the DSS have any say in a criminal case of that magnitude? My view as a lawyer is that DSS, by the statutory provisions creating the State Security Service, SSS, and the instruments that even empower them to vet people, to investigate people in terms of their pasts. That is instrument number 1, decreed into law by Abdulsalami Abubakar, 1999. That instrument only gives them the power to bring information regarding a person's past life for the purpose of passing the person through public office, for the person to be appointed through public office. That is where their power stops there. They don't have anything to do with corruption except where it affects national security. And now you have to create that link between stealing money and national security. And that is a very difficult question. Does that not make a major setback on the cases and in the issue of the raid on the judges?
It is a major setback.
Could it have been a factor in the case of Justice
Ademola? I don't know what was canvassed in detail before Justice.
I will show Nigerians in another few minutes. I'll just allow you to.
Yes, let me run through this. Number 2 step, like I said, is the arrest and the process of arrest. Yeah. In this process of arrest, like you have rightly pointed out, the mode of breaking into people's houses, the mode of seizure. You seize somebody's money, no matter how huge, you must tie that money to a crime. If you are not able to tie that money to a crime, no matter how much noise you make in the media, you have not achieved anything. You will go to court, and the lawyers to the defendants will smile at you and just wait for you in court, and they will throw you.
In the case of Andrew Yakubu, there are insinuations in that in the debates in that case that money has not been. The prosecutors have not been able to tie that money as a proceeds of corruption.
They are putting the cart before the horse.
You mean the federal government?
Yes, they are putting the cart before the horse. They have not been able to find out where which stolen money, what crime proceeds that money belonged to.
It may have been wrong that he kept such an amount of money when you talk about the issue of money laundering.
No. The law in Nigeria does not talk about storage. As far as the law in Nigeria is concerned, you can store as much money as you like in your house.
Outside of the bank.
Outside of the bank. What the law talks about is transaction. And for individuals, it is 500,000 naira. You cannot transact payment.
So if the federal government could not prove that money is a proceeds of corruption, then Mr. Andrew Yakubu may go home.
That is his money. That is the thing. So the first thing the federal government ought to have done was, first of all, to trace where that money may have come from, even before going to seize the money.
Because he secured a bail, didn't he?
He secured a bail. Of course, he's entitled to it. And today he's asking for the return of the money. Because the federal government has not been able to say, like even had the SSA say, that there's an investigation. And again, they are putting the law on its head and expecting it to work by saying that since such an amount of money has been found with him, that he has a duty to explain its source.
Almost half of $1 billion was also said to have been recovered by the EFCC in a shop, in a BDC shop in Lagos.
Have they said that money belongs to somebody?
No, I'm trying to ask a question here. That kind of money could have been a wrong move by the EFCC, isn't it?
Absolutely, because for you to even bump into somebody's private premises or private business premises to seize his money or her money, you must show that money, there is a linkage with that money to a crime. That there is a pause from where that money has come out. That is the linkage.
Another case would be that of Chief Michael Zekome, senior advocate of Nigeria.
Absolutely.
Where the court has said
it's an oppressive action on the part of EFCC to freeze. In point of fact, there is a double jeopardy there. Because the money that the account that money came from was an account that the court has unfrozen by a court order.